A place where all pets eventually go, if you're lucky. When their time comes, all our pets move on and go to that special place where they wait for us to someday join them, Calabasas.
I'd rather not.
I'll meet you in hell. This is the story of the Los Angeles Pet Memorial Park. So it starts in 1924 with a Dr. Eugene C. Jones, which I'm going to be calling Dr. Jones for most of this.
No time for love.
He was a veterinarian from Washington State College who moved to LA that year in 1924 to open up an animal hospital at 9080 Santa Monica Boulevard in West Hollywood, now across the street from the Troubadour, called the E.C. Jones Veterinary Hospital, and then the Jones Dog and Cat Hospital. The building was designed by the same people who did the Capitol Records building and the Cinerama Dome.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that why it's shaped like a bunch of dogs hanging on each other's back? Is that why the building's like that?
It's really cute.
It's the dog talking into the phonograph.
Yeah. But really big. Like, you could see this from space. He's not talking into the phonograph. He's listening. How many times do I have to tell you? Dogs can't talk.
I agree to disagree.
So being located in West Hollywood, Dr. Jones became hugely successful as the go-to guy for celebrities to take their sick pets to. They're sick puppies, man.
They're sick.
So he was the most conveniently located for them. So people like Gloria Swanson, Charlie Chaplin, and Rudolph Valentino all took their pets to him.
Peacocks and vultures, or whatever weird eccentric animals.
Can you look after my ocelot? Okay, Rudolph. So his success led him 4 years later to expand his operations into a location to deal with the pets he wasn't able to save, with a pet funeral parlor on Highland. They sold pet caskets ranging anywhere from $725 to several $1,000, and they had a viewing room for the deceased pets. But around the same time, Dr. Jones started yet another venture to find the chakra stone or whatever. He started another venture to deal with where these dead pets should go.
Oh, I didn't want you to say it.
No other way to say it. It was illegal to bury your pets in LA city limits, so to get around that, he bought 10 acres of land in the land of freedom and puppy burials. Calabasas.
Which is ancient Sanskrit for pet burials.
He bought them from a man named Gilbert H. Bessemeyer, who was a year away from being caught embezzling $8 million from the Guarantee Building and Loan Association and getting sentenced to 40 years in San Quentin. So in 1928, he had been selling off his assets to try to avoid suspicion, and 10 of those assets went to Dr. Jones at 5068 Old Scandia Lane. That's how you get the good deals.
You find a criminal who's desperate to get rid of all his hot items.
One man's white-collar crime is another man's great deal.
Trash.
This place opened on September 4th, 1928 as the Los Angeles Pet Park, and the first burial was supposedly that of Dr. Jones's own pet, dog.
Random dog. I killed it so I could have a first burial. Couldn't wait. Yeah.
This was only the second pet cemetery in the entire country, behind the Hartsdale Pet Cemetery in Westchester, New York, that opened in 1896.
Ours is better.
Ours had oranges all over it, so it was a lot nicer. A hearse would take the coffins from the funeral parlor on Highland all the way to Calabasas, which probably took like 8 years. You could have had another pet and then watch that one die by the time. It was a self-sustaining system. So there they would either be buried in a plot complete with tombstone for $12.50, or after the crematorium was built in 1929, $17.50 for cremation. It was $400 to be placed in the big mausoleum on the top of the hill. Of course, with Dr. Jones's celebrity clientele, a lot of those celebrities brought their pets here also. So buried here are the pets of Bud Abbott, Irwin Allen, Maury Amsterdam, Lauren Bacall, Joseph Barbera, Cubby Broccoli, Peter Bogdanovich, Henry Fonda, William Randolph Hearst, Jim Nabors, Bob Newhart, Debbie Reynolds, Cesar Romero, Greg's old friend Mickey Rooney. He almost ended up there by accident.
Not accident. That's what happens when you act like an animal.
It's a good deal. Ava Gabor, Mary Pickford, Lionel Barrymore, Adam Sandler, Diana Ross, supposedly Bruce Springsteen, Lily Tomlin, Peter Falk, Tori Spelling, William Shatner, Alfred Hitchcock's terriers, and those guys he killed with a lion, Humphrey Bogart's Cocker Spaniel Boots, Charlie Chaplin's cat Scout, Steven Spielberg's Jack Russell Terrier, the fully spayed and neutered pets of Bob Barker, Dolores Del Rio's pet Dada, Mae West's pet monkey Boogie. The most famous of these pets of celebrities is probably Rudolph Valentino's Doberman K-Bar. He was given to Valentino as a gift by a diplomat from Belgium who was in love with him, but when Valentino died in New York, K-Bar was back in LA, but the story goes that K-Bar howled right at the moment that Valentino died across the country, and then K-Bar ran away from home and roamed the country looking for Valentino, but he obviously didn't find him. Eventually he came back.
I mean, he maybe found him.
He told him not to tell. Eventually he came back half starved with bleeding feet, and he died 2 weeks later of a broken heart, or maybe because of the bleeding feet. He's at this cemetery, and the lady in black, she actually used to come leave flowers at his grave every year. The same day she'd go to Valentino's at Hollywood Forever. The ghost of K-Bar is also reportedly heard barking and panting and sometimes licking hands, but I suspect it's Boogie, the monkey, that's doing that. There's also plenty of animals who were celebrities in their own right that weren't just famous by association to a celebrity human. No cats, though.
Oh.
There's a German Shepherd from Bakersfield named Milton Sill, but more famously known as the dog who knew everything. Jigs the monkey from the Tarzan movies was buried there in 1938 after losing a battle with pneumonia. His funeral was attended by Ray Milland, Dorothy Lamour, and Bing Crosby.
Oh my God.
And that's the last I'm ever talking about Jigs. There's also a lion. Oh yeah, there's a lion also. Here's the last lion of the night. A lion named Tawny, who is believed to have also been in the Tarzan movies. A lot of people try to tell you he was one of the MGM lions, but I never said that there was a lion named Tawny. But this lion was buried along with a house cat that he was best friends with.
Pretty cool.
Silver from the Lone Ranger, nay Sonny, is there, as is Tonto's horse Scout, and Topper from Hog-Along Cassidy. Max Sennett's cat Puzzums, who was in movies with Maurice Chevalier and Will Rogers, is there. Petey the dog from our gang, who many believe was poisoned, is buried there. And then some cat that's named after some building or something. 80 room? The room, the cat?
Room cat.
There's one grave there marked for Blinky the friendly hen, who was a hen at one point, but when she was actually buried in 1978, she was just a frozen Foster Farms chicken that an artist named Jeffrey Valance bought at a Ralph's in Canoga Park, and he buried it as performance art. And then 10 years after the burial, Blinky was exhumed and had an autopsy performed on her by UCLA's head of pathology, and the whole thing became an exhibit at an art gallery in Glendale, complete with artifacts like the Shroud of Blinky and a recreation of the funeral complete with a rubber chicken in a coffin.
Wow.
I don't know why you don't like that. I love it.
I don't like high art.
Well, you know, these things get normalized. I grew up with Foster Farms chicken.
Yeah.
After the exhibit was over, Blinky was reburied, and you can read all about it in Valance's book, Blinky the Friendly Hen. There's also pets who are famous for better reasons than that, like some dogs who helped find survivors during 9/11.
Oh, wow.
There's also just regular pets of people who wanted to bury them there because they loved them, and each of these pets has a story. One tombstone says, Borden died of uremic poisoning at 3:30 a.m. due to kidney failure 7 hours before he was to be euthanized, and it's all my fault, Richard.
Oh my God. Yeah. Those are the words of a broken heart.
He was probably in the office, and they're asking him, what do you want it to say? And he just broke down.
Oh,
Our hearts go out to you, Richard. There's a white-nosed coati named Titin that got killed by a cat, and at his funeral was his best friend Poncho, a white-faced monkey who cried during the entire ceremony. There's a 2-year-old German Shepherd from Pacoima named Skippy that was buried December 26, 1989. His story was that he had bit the mailman, Floyd Sterling. So the next day, which was a few days before Christmas, Sterling came to deliver the mail, and Skippy's owner and her 10-year-old son came outside to give Sterling a Christmas present, but as they came up, so did Skippy. So Sterling pulled out a gun and shot the dog in front of
the family,
the mother and her 10-year-old son, who were trying to give him a Christmas gift. He claimed he was just trying to scare him, but when someone asked him if he thought the dog was going to be okay, he said, I hope not. He was suspended and charged with 3 felonies, and the USPS paid for the funeral. There's another dog named Poocheroonie, and he has no story, but I like his name. There's not just dogs and cats and horses and monkeys, though. There's lizards, ferrets, goats, pigs, fish, turtles, hamsters, a boa constrictor, Mickey Rooney. People leave flowers and sometimes dog toys and treats. There's statues of some animals in their memory. There's stained glass windows of animals and wind chimes in the trees. It's pretty nice. It's a nice place.
You went there.
We went there, and it was not as fun as I thought it was going to be.
It sounds like it might be like pleasant, but everything you said right now, well, you talked to me after you went, and you were sort of like, hey... Listen,
I thought this was going to be a nice Sunday,
and now we're both bummed
because a lot of the graves have like pictures of the animals on it, and like there were people there who had. There was one guy that I thought he worked there because he
had a shovel.
He had a shovel. I don't know. He had the collar in his mouth or something. He was just standing there staring at a tomb. He was an older guy, just standing there staring at a tombstone for like 20 minutes, just looking at it.
Haunting. That's haunting.
Yeah, and then like there were other people there who had their other pets, and they were just just like hanging out at the grave.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's pretty sad.
Did you see Roommates?
I couldn't find there's no, I mean, it's not a huge place, but like how are you gonna, there's no neon sign pointing to Roommate.
Usually I just have like a little pointer and then I just find it.
If you just shine a laser pointer, certainly his skeleton will jump up and try to get it. In 1947, Evelyn Waugh came to look around, and in 1948 he wrote about it in The Loved One, referring to it as happier hunting ground. The only trauma to disturb the peace there came during World War II when Lockheed was testing some experimental new plane that crash-landed into the cemetery, and there's still supposedly some debris up on the hill, dislodged a whole horse. By 1932, they had over 750 pets there, and in 1969, they consolidated the funeral parlor on Highland and moved it into the cemetery. In 1973, the Joneses family gave the cemetery to the Los Angeles SPCA, and by 1978, they had over 40,000 pets buried there. Trouble came in 1983 when the SPCA put it up for sale, and some developers wanted to buy the land and pave over it to make houses or businesses or something. So a group of people whose pets were buried there came together and formed a group called SOFI, or Save Our Pets History in Eternity, and they raised $100,000 to buy it on September 12, 1986. They even got a law passed that prevents pet cemeteries from being destroyed or developed over. There was a rift in the group in 1992 when some of the SOFI members split off and formed a secondary group called SOS, or Save Our SOFI, which in itself stands for something longer. But today they're once again a unified group with some 500 members. The great civil war of SOFI is over. Sophie's Choice, they chose peace. They have some 500 members watching over the cemetery that now holds some 50,000 pets. Caskets now cost between $120 to $300, and plots are $400 to $1,000. If you're burying a horse, you don't need a casket because they're too big, so they just flip them upside down and cover them in hay. It's very tastefully done, though. They hide the dong.
The dog gets a casket.
It gets the Milton Berle treatment. They'll provide you with a priest or a rabbi or whatever you need to make this process easier. Every last Saturday of the month, they hold a candlelight memorial for anyone who has lost a pet, which when I read about that, I was like, oh, that might be kind of nice. And then I heard it's just people crying. It's just like people crying.
Hard sobbing.
Yeah.